Hello, everybody. It's Hayley here from Obsessed Hub, and we have something pretty awesome. Last night, I was laying in bed, and I was watching an incredible lady who I love and admire, and she always shows up consistently exactly the way that she is and is always open to having conversations that are thought-provoking. So I couldn't stop watching one of her shows. So I kind of messaged her and I said, hey, want to do something with me? On a regular basis. So I reached out to the amazing Jess Clair. She is the founder of Human Business Collective, and we're going to just talk about some stuff and some things today. So basically, we want to talk about, and I said to Jess, what are we going to talk about? And it was, she sent the topic saying that, like, what makes, sorry, I'm being told what to do by people off camera. They're like pointing at the camera. This is bloody painful. So basically, she asked me what's alive for me, and I responded saying philanthropy. And so what we're going to talk about today is philanthropy and how people are confused about how to contribute. And basically, we're saying that you're not confused, that you just don't know how to say no. So to talk about that in depth, I've got Jess Clair joining me today. Thanks for coming, Jess.
Hello. Thanks, Hayley. Thanks for having me on.
Awkward bloody intro.
That's fine. You got people in the background telling you what to do. I understand.
Yeah, in the pursuit of making things look professional, hey? It's literally just a shit show happening in the background.
I've got a cat, but for some reason I should have put her out, and she might make an appearance. That doesn't, it's not professional enough for me.
I've got Astro under the desk.
See?
I could bring them up for a cameo appearance. It'll be great. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about philanthropy. Let's talk about all the ways, because we were having a conversation, and I think that one of the most comments that I get, especially when we're doing all this stuff with ALL and the human trafficking rights. So a lot of people just say, you know, like, the problem is so big, what can I do? And it feels overwhelming because quite often people go into ostrich mode and want to put their head in the sand because it's quite confronting. It's a confronting topic. Yeah, so basically, I mean, I love it because, I mean, I had these conversations with you and we didn't do that live, and I know that we will do that now, but you specifically, you were asking me all these questions, and we came down to the point of people just don't know how to say no. Can you explain? Can you?
Yeah, absolutely. So what I will say is that I looked at charities a long, long time ago. I started to develop some software where people could get together in the community and they could help each other out. Like, you have a tool that, you know, you might, like, a lawnmower is a great example. I don't have a lawnmower. People have lawnmowers, but where we could share our things in communities, right? Mm. And what I found when we were doing the research on this is that there's just so many things that we could do to support each other. You know, someone can help me with the lawnmower. There might be someone, even in your street, if you think of it this way, there might be someone who's disabled that might need help from you. There might be someone that's experiencing domestic violence that might need support or professional support. There might be someone that has got a newborn that might need that sort of support. Like, there's so many things out there that you could support people with. Mm. And so what I've found is that we have this culture of, but if I do it, then I'll need to keep doing it. Or if I help once, then I'll be expected to. And what I can see is that we seem to have raised this bunch of human beings that literally cannot say no. Mm. And this I go back to, this always comes back to the structure of our society. Yeah, so obedient. So obedient.
What about people that, like, oh, you feel guilty, right? You feel guilty.
Yes.
Because you want stuff.
Yeah.
And then it gets to the point where you overgive, and then you feel sick because you couldn't really afford it, and then you never do it again. Or you avoid those situations, like going to charity events and everything else because of that. Right?
Absolutely.
So,
and you, I don't know if you remember one of our very first conversations. We didn't know each other. We'd seen each other online. We had an appreciation for each other's work. And you reached out to me and said, hey, I've got this, like, World Earth Day thing. Do you want to do a live with me? And I said, sure. And you said, oh, we have to say something about the earth. And I said, well, it's not my thing, but I'm happy to go on. And you said, well, what does Earth Day mean to you? And I said, pretty much nothing.
Nothing.
It doesn't mean anything to me. I don't want to pretend like it's the thing I focus on. Now, I'm not saying that issue is not important. The planet has a whole lot of issues going on. I'm very clear about that. And there's people that are far more educated and far more obsessed with that particular issue. I don't know why I live on this earth, and I have zero obsession for the earth. I just don't.
Can I ask you what you are passionate about?
As in, yeah, you can.
In that charity space. And I will.
Yeah, I'm obsessed. Like, I think about it all day. I dream about it. I talk about it in my relationship. I talk about it with my friends. I'm obsessed with human connection, intimacy, and what it really takes for people to experience being valued on this planet.
I love it. And that's what I love about you, Jess. You just can articulate so well. And I know that it's taking you, because that sounds so clean. I bet people are listening going, fuck, she's so deep. Yeah, and you are. But the depth at which you're speaking from it's not been easy to get there, right? It's messy. It's up, it's down.
Totally. And I can be really superficial too.
Yes,
so I can, right before you got on this live, I was like, you took your shirt off. And I was like, this is the best thing ever. You know, I've got the elements of not deep and deep. I absolutely. But I listen to what I desire. I listen to that. You know, there's some reason why I'm obsessed with that. It doesn't mean everyone's going to be, and they don't have it. I don't go out to people going, I'm obsessed with this, you should come and do it. I'm like, whatever you're obsessed with, go do it. And if it's not this, tell me no. Say, well, yeah.
What you're talking about, because you know, people like they get Bible bashy almost about their causes, and it's almost like, and it's the same energy, right? It's the same vibe. Give to me, help, as someone trying to sell you a Thermomix.
Absolutely. And I think this is also a part of the structure that we live in. The training, the kind of way in which we've been conditioned is that we need to be, I always say it comes back to this obedience, this struggle for money, status, and power. We know that people like hearing yeses. They just do. I love hearing a yes. I do. We all like hearing a yes. We all like to be told that we're great. We all like to, and so we know when we do things that are philanthropic, or we know that when we do things that are selfless, that it's going to be considered, you know, we're going to be considered a good person, and that other person's going to feel validated, and we're going to feel like we're a team. But if it's not authentic, it's important that we say no. If we really don't want to do something, if we're not lit up like a big F yes, then we shouldn't be doing it. But we're not taught to listen to that desire. We're taught to bypass it so much more.
Where does that start for most people?
Well, I think it starts from the smallest interactions like this. Give grandma a hug. I don't want to, you can see your 5-year-old going, I don't want to give grandma a hug. She smells and, you know, and she doesn't like, I don't like her. And you can see a child being like, oh, I don't really want to. And they're authentically like, no. There is actually an inch is a no. And we kill it off.
Yeah.
Or
we make the child give them a hug. When I was like, I'm a little bit, you know, it's like as you get older as a parent and you kind of learn new things and have different experiences, you kind of parent the way that your parents used to parent, right? And what's expected as like hand-me-down type style. Because I used to do that, and my mum would get offended. You know what I mean? Like, and then that would then, not only were they like no, I don't. What's the word? Not guilty. I mean, that's the secondary feeling where they get guilted because they've actually gone, you know what? I actually don't want you to be in my space right now. And that's okay. I mean, when we say to any child or anybody that you actually don't have the right to be in control of what your feelings and your thoughts right now, I think that's life-changing. And it can set a child on a trajectory that it's not healthy. And they start making, like, and become more and more compliant. Compliance probably
Totally.
not right.
No, I do. I think it's compliant, conformity, like we're training obedience and normative. Absolutely. Now, there's no problem with that per se. Like, I'm not making it wrong. I'm not saying that it's really wrong. I do it myself sometimes. I've had to train myself out of it. It's not like I'm saying that you're a bad parent if you do it. No, it's very human. It's just something to acknowledge that potentially that if we really want to get connected to what's important to us, and if we're really truly about living out our desires and our authentic expression, and we do want to see a world where people are allowed to be their full unique self, then we need to get really good at hearing a no, not being right.
I loved when you were talking about, like, people being unique. Like, people, it's almost like the world pretends, they say that they want you to be unique, but they actually don't really.
They don't.
No. Because the minute that you do step up and step out and you start being your unique self, people are like, can you stop? You're embarrassing me, or you're too quiet, or you're too loud, or you're too this and you're too that. All of a sudden, it's kind of like, actually, we want you to be your unique self, but only the way that we want it, please.
Yeah, that's the way I explain it too. Everyone, be your unique self, just the way I want you to be. Yeah,
be yourself as long as it doesn't annoy me.
It's like, no, it's okay to be annoyed. One of my best friends, I'm high energy. Like, I'm a high energy person. I don't know why. I feel like I've got untapped energy. Some people have it, some people don't. There are people that have, being around me actually need to take like a day off to rest.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's wrong. I think it's fine. And I have a friend who is like, your energy is intense. So I'll call her and say, let's hang out. And she'll say to me, oh, do you know what? I'm not in the mood. I'm really tired. And I'll be like, okay, I don't need to change. She doesn't need to change. We can just acknowledge that that's who we are. You know, I want to see a world where it's okay.
Yeah. Conversations are okay too.
Yes.
How can you even get to understand somebody else's point of view or somebody's thought pattern if you don't have a conversation? Which is what really freaks me out about this cancel culture and people not allowing other people to have their side, whether you agree or whether you disagree. That stuff blows my mind. Blows my mind.
I like to use the example. I used to lead seminars, and for a company, and there was this one lady that came in around the time that the gay marriage bill came in, same-sex marriage bill came in, and my partner's a woman, and I was married. Well, I was fake married to someone at the time, and she came in and she said, I don't agree with this. In the middle of this seminar I'm leading, and she said, I don't agree with the same-sex marriage bill, which was in her 70s. And I just said, okay, that's fine. Thanks for sharing. I mean, I didn't ask, but, if you felt the need to say it, that's fine too. And I just moved on.
Yeah.
And I kept leading the seminar. And then she came back to me afterwards and said, I hope I didn't offend you. And I was like, no, that's no problem. It's no problem with me at all. I think if you want to believe that, that's fine. And then she was so intrigued that I didn't react, that she kept asking me questions. So what I found interesting about that was that because I didn't care what she thought, she became obsessed with what I thought. And she kept asking me, well, what do you think? And I said, well, obviously I'm gay, so yeah, I believe in it. And she said, well, but then she had the space to talk about it. And then she said, well, can I tell you why I don't? And I'm like, sure, go for it. And she told me it was because, she thinks it's between a man and a woman. And I just went, okay, I understand that. I'm not trying to convince you otherwise. And I think the difficulty for me is that why you think that you get to trump my rights just because you have a thought. I mean, that's where I have an issue. I said, but I'm not going to argue with you because I don't think that helps at all, right? So anyway, by the end of it, without even trying, without no interest in trying to convince her of anything, by the end of it, she's like, actually, I think I believe in it now.
Do you know what?
Yeah.
No, sorry. What I'm listening as you're talking, it's just lack of knowledge and fear of the unknown. She just didn't know enough and had an opinion, probably based on her upbringing and how she's lived her last 60 years and those belief sets from her family and everything else. So it really is it's knowledge, and it's asking questions and having a conversation. Just a simple conversation and giving people enough space and enough respect to have their own thoughts and opinions without being angry at someone else because they have an opinion that's different.
Absolutely.
But also, I mean, I also understand how it's easy to get kind of like triggered. And I'm assuming that when she said, I don't agree, she wanted a reaction from you. And when she didn't get it, made her question, even if what she was seeking was even validated in the first place.
Yeah, I really believe that when you are able to teach yourself, and I think this should be far more taught than anything in schools, when you're able to teach yourself to just allow people to say, be, act however they want to in the moment, and you just sort of be with it.
Yeah.
Not take it on, not resist it, not try to change it, not try to fix it, just be like, okay, it's like a tree. I don't try and change the leaves on a tree. We just kind of observe it. And I think what happens to someone when they're just observed is they actually get to see themselves. And they may never do that if someone's always reacting to what they say.
And some people, I think, to be honest, are just scared. They're just scared of something because they get comfort. They get comfortable in their thoughts and their patterns, and then exploring something new. I get it why people like uncomfortable is. You and I sit in uncomfortable. I love uncomfortable. I like pushing my boundaries, and I'm awesome in a crisis. Woo!
Yeah.
Throw my hands in the air. But I also can appreciate that not everybody's like me.
No.
And they don't have to be. They don't need to be.
You are high energy. You're feisty. You can do 500 billion more things than the average person at once.
Yeah.
You're fierce. You want to see big change. You are not stopping to wait for someone to think about whether they're going to make change or not. You're out there doing it, and you want people to come along for the ride. Right. So it's like if you want to be in Hayley's sphere, you want to be a change maker or you're going to be left behind. It's not going to, you just don't have time.
We've got a comment here. It said that my husband's family is the same. We'll read it here. My husband's family is the same, even though his mum is very much so a lesbian and my husband is transgender himself. I feel like knowledge and arrogance is often a trigger point for not being okay with same-sex or gender diverse relationships.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. I think I have a lot of compassion for the world we live in. We were all raised differently. We're all getting triggered by everything. I don't necessarily subscribe to conversations where labels are used under any circumstances. I don't think that she's homophobic. I didn't think she was homophobic because of what she said.
No, just
like what she said. Yeah, I just agree. You know, it's like, yeah, I could be arrogant and react to what she said. Firstly, it would be proving whatever point she had and thought she had about same-sex couples anyway. So I'd just be validating her opinion in my reaction. But secondly, I would feel crap. I'd
Yeah.
get heated up. I'd get that anxiety. For what reason? Because someone had hot air come out of their mouth with a vibration, like that we call language. That's all that it is.
And people are too quick to be angry and too quick to be. They don't give people the space to kind of have another thought, or even create an inviting space where people can feel like they can have a different opinion. And people just want to be angry at that person because, hey, they should be vilified because of the way that they think. When in actual fact, they're thinking the same way, that we should be vilified for the way that we think.
Exactly.
And it's just comes down, and I'm going to say it 100 times today if I can, conversations. Look at what's happening right now. You've got people interacting off the sidebar. We've got somebody over here that says, I was one of those idiots who was triggered.
That's one of my friends. Hello, Joe. Good to see you. I'm glad I teach you something. Because she's always like, what the heck are you talking about, Jess?
I know, it's funny. You know what our topic is? About philanthropy. I love it.
I know. I don't know how I made it gay, but I did.
Oh, that's all right.
Sorry.
You have a way of doing that.
Yeah, I don't. I don't tend to focus on it, but it just sort of made sense because it's the things that trigger people, and that's typically meant to trigger me, and it just doesn't.
No. Yeah. Yeah. We were having a conversation before, and I'm probably like with Bailey, and he brought up the laws in Sweden, how they are. What are they doing, Bailey? So raising gender neutral kids, right? So and there was a couple of people in the office who are like, I don't think that's right, and I'm like, well, I think it's probably a better way than the way that we're raising them now, because and the thing is, I think that the lack of education around what that actually is as a system or an ideology, how that operates and what they're trying to achieve. If you have a lack of understanding about the actual goal, it's very easy to have a thought that absolutely is completely off. And then you've got a split second because of a conversation you saw once, or a YouTube clip, or a Facebook post, or a meme, or something that you saw once, or a show that you saw once that was heavily, for whatever their agenda was to put that post out there. And you go away with that thought and that belief set and that new way of thinking about a subject that can be completely off. Completely off. And it blows, if you're generally that triggered about something, I don't know about you and I, Jess, but I know that if I'm that triggered by something, I go and I research. And I research all the ways around it, and I look for the fors and the against, and I need more information, because knowledge is everything. Education, conversations, sharing, bouncing it off someone. Most people don't do that, Jess. Most people
don't. I think as well, just to add to what you're saying, because absolutely you research, I think we also need to develop a level of what I call empathic connection. So it's like, I'm not really interested in what my brain says about my beliefs, because my beliefs have been created by all this stuff that happened in my past. So there's not really many people in my past that I'd look at and say, I want to be like them when I grow up. So if that's shaped who I am today, I don't think listening to my beliefs is really my barometer. So what I go for is I stand in what's this person saying to me. So in that case, if someone says to me, this gender neutral, we should grow up gender neutral, I don't agree with that. If someone says that to me, I'd be like, okay, what is it like for someone who doesn't feel like they're male or female? What is it like for someone that is born into, because I know someone very close to me who was born into a female body but actually feels like they're male, and actually had this like, what the heck is this body kind of moment?
What happened?
What happened here? What is it like for someone, and if that person wants to create names, okay, fine, why not? We create all sorts of other shit. We create tech, we create all sorts of stuff. So why not create whatever, and then I think someone that's triggered by that, I think, what is it like for them to be so threatened by something new? and it's like developing what I call depolarization, where we're not trying to find out what's right and wrong. We're just seeking to understand someone's experience in the moment. There's nothing else to really do.
I love that. And this is, I'll go quiet. And this is me, like last night, watching the exchange between you and Tom. I literally am just sitting there going, yes, because you articulate so well. And you are able to put into words and explain things, especially for people that are high energy like us. I think it's incredible. I love it. Because I sometimes try and get my words out and it becomes so, you know what I mean? Like I'm like, I just got to get to the end. I need to tell people what it is. Why haven't you felt what I'm already trying to say?
I think the thing is, though, Hayley, you actually articulate things really well.
Yeah, I do. I know.
You do. High energy, like I'm all about the revolution of the ADHD person, It's like these are untapped energy human beings.
Yeah.
I want to convince them that they have superpowers, not that there's something wrong with them that needs to be medicated. Okay. I'm like, there's enough entrepreneurs out there now for that to be proven true. And yes, we're intense. And yes, we have a lot of energy. And no, you probably couldn't do digital marketing like us because we can do all the things very quickly.
Yeah.
And it doesn't even feel like hard work. It feels normal.
Yeah.
So I'm all about revolutionizing that. And I know there are genuine cases of ADHD that people do need to get medication for. I'm not saying I'm a doctor. Don't listen to me. I'm not diagnosing anyone. But I do think that there are...
Disclaimer.
But I do think that there are a lot of people that are considered intense that go to try and change that when actually they should embrace it as a superpower.
Do you know something else? I mean, just very quickly on that ADHD thing, I tossed up the idea a few years ago of having ADHD as letters after my name on my business card.
Yeah, own it.
Yeah. And then Natalie said no, so I didn't. I forgot what I was like, why not? It's a bloody talent, mate. It's an absolute talent. Are you waving something at me? Oh, she wants me. We need to. Sorry. Sorry, Jess. Says, thanks, Jess. Love you and can't wait to give it a whirl next time I'm triggered.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thanks, Joe. I'm glad.
I don't even know where I was going with that. That's the ADHD curse. Like I'll say one thing and then I'm like off on another path. But yeah.
I do want to say one thing about it. Okay, so just imagine if rather than our friends moving away from us or for someone who's high energy, or for me who making someone wrong who feels like they need space from me because of my energy levels, rather than that, what if we could just talk about it and go, look, I don't want to hang out with you today because I'm feeling low energy, or I just don't want you to judge me today because I know that you're not really a fan of the energy levels I have all the time. What if it didn't have to be diagnosed and fucking medicated?
Oh, that would be gold.
I'm just like, come on, this is just human beings. This is like, we're just human. What if someone that was bipolar, it's like, okay.
I can't. I hear like I've got friends that are medicating their kids. Some of the and I get that same deal. I'm not giving any medical advice here, and I appreciate that some people do need medication, right? But they're medicating their kids based on the fact that they're not getting good grades, but they're incredible at like dancing or music or art or something else. I'm like, why are you so set on meeting? And this is the worst thing, and I think this is where the mental health issue comes to play. You're literally saying to your kid, you have to be like the others. You can't be you have to be just like the others because we need to please the Joneses. We've got to please everybody else. We've got to please the system, and we can't have everybody thinking that you're this lone nut. But what do we know about lone nuts? They start movements. They are game changers. They're world changers. They're the world leaders. They come up with things like Apple and Virgin.
And Einstein, entanglement theory. I mean, his basis of all of it's the atomic bomb, but basically mobile phones and all the technologies that uses quantum mechanics. It's like this guy was considered stupid at school.
It's incredible.
It's crazy that we haven't evolved from it, really.
Maybe the system actually is, here's a conspiracy, maybe the system can't accommodate, because could you imagine having all of that many innovators that elevated? And
yes.
Yeah, I know. But I think that because we're like, I fly by the seat of my pants. I'm the fuck it girl. Fuck it, let's do it. We'll fix it later. Let's just see what happens. I'm that person. But I think the reason why the system is set up for the people that play by the rules, sit inside the box, and that structure vibe, maybe it is because they just wouldn't be able to. The world wouldn't necessarily be able to handle this much awesome.
Well, I love
the world cannot handle this awesome.
Well, I think I don't want to shut down either. I don't want to shut down the structured, the controlled, the systematic thinking, because I think that's really necessary. But I also
just as we are
very important, and I don't want to shut down, some of the most critical people on this planet are engineers. And they're methodical and black and white and structured, and like without that, our bridges would fall over. So engineers are very important. Things that we do are very important, but we need to recognize, and I interact with a lot of engineers and I tell them this, we need to recognize that the way you see things as an engineer is very limited and black and white. And for someone who is an innovator and high energy and connects, sometimes some of my friends, connect to different dimensions, or even the conversation for the connection in non-physical, and even some of the things that happen in the non-physical and in the intellectual intuitive intelligence realm. Just because you're an engineer and you only see this stuff doesn't mean that stuff isn't real. And I want to see a world where all of it's valued.
See, I think it's, you're right, it's not valued. I think it's utilized, but it's just not valued. And the equilibrium is not, it's off. I agree.
Yeah.
We agree, Jess.
We do. Just to round this back to what we originally said.
I know.
it comes down to, because we learnt so much to be compliant, to be obedient, to conform, and a byproduct of that is being nice and not telling people what we really think.
I can't imagine somebody actually saying, do you know what's been beautiful and refreshing about what we've been doing with Australia's largest lunch? Is that we've had 2 people say no to everything that we've been doing. And so going off what you're saying, how many of those people have wanted to say no but haven't? I just haven't had that energy, you know what I mean? And I think it comes down to approaching the right people as well. And I don't ever want to be those people. I'm very, very strategic and very careful with who I actually invite to be part of what we're creating, because I don't want to I would never go to somebody where it's completely different and completely off and ask them for support, knowing that that they're doing something else and that they're heavily involved in something else where it's kind of like there's going to be a resistance where you get feeling, So
well, just on that, this is what I teach in my programs. I say, make a lot of requests, big, bold ones, every day, all of the time. So I'm absolutely an advocate of asking and asking and asking anyone and everyone. I go beyond target audience as well.
Yeah.
And
strategy.
I do. It's because I also back that up with be completely unattached and free. And if that person goes, then just acknowledge, hey, you don't have to do it. It's absolutely fine. It's an opportunity, and it's absolutely fine if you don't want to.
Yeah, I love that.
You've got to be unattached. Yeah.
I want to bring this comment up, which is going back to the ADHD. But in discussing the ADHD, I get the feeling of unlimited energy. And when I use it, I get anxious and panicky. Yeah, me too. I've always put this down to I have used that energy that didn't belong to me. Thoughts? Do you guys get anxious after over focusing and working? Yeah, I do. Look at this. Like, this is me using, you see this?
Wow.
Like, I get super anxiety.
Nuclear vessel.
Yeah, but it's crazy, eh? Like, and it's every time I'm on show or having to see, I could have this conversation with you, Jess, and bounce on the telephone and it'd just be fine and I wouldn't have an issue. But when I'm on show, I struggle with that. Or certain pressure situations where I feel I need to meet. And this is what I want to go back to, which is where I was going with it, and I've remembered now. But it's like being that imposter in the room where you feel like you're speaking to somebody spiritual and you've got to meet them at that level and you've got to be more spiritual than they were. And then, you know, you've got to say something really deep and meaningful. Otherwise, you're not going to fit in. And you're going to...
So
yeah. Because I've always been on the outskirts. I am the lone nut. I'm the weird kid, always been the weird kid. And I think it's triggering for me where I kind of like, well, hang on a second, I'm just trying to fit in here. let me just fit in for a minute. So I kind of struggle going backwards and forwards with that. And I know that that's not necessarily on point with what that actually said, but I do get, when I'm starting to concentrate and focus my energy, I do get anxious.
Yeah. I think this is really interesting, and this is why, you know, I'm a big advocate of personal growth. Is because when you press into that stuff and you've got tools to look at it, you get to see where the anxiety comes from. So I could see that I was working, you like having a lot of that energy, working. So I'd have these really high highs and these really low lows. So it would be work, and it would be that kind of, I'd need like 4 hours a night. I wouldn't even need much sleep. I used to make that wrong, but I really didn't need much sleep. So I'd only need about 4 hours a night. And then the crash would happen and I would be exhausted. I would not be able to maintain that level of energy. And then I'd be crying and I'd be like, what's happening to me? I can't believe I'm doing this. It would just be up and then down. And this is where previous partners have accused me of bipolar. That wasn't the case.
I've literally just written that down, that what you're describing, you'd be diagnosed or medicated for bipolar.
Oh, totally. My ex did. And then, and what I could see is that I had no tools. That's what happened. I had no tools. When I got personal development tools, which were firstly, when I started to understand this world of masculine and feminine energy. And at the beginning, like if people are, you know, oh, that sounds stupid. Well, I'll look into it because it's changed me from someone that was considered bipolar to just completely harnessing energy. Masculine energy is that drive for go. It's not male or female. It's just that we all have, it's yin and yang. There's all sorts of modalities that talk about it, but it's the go energy. It's that I will go until I drop energy.
Yeah.
When you balance that with your feminine energy, which is your stop, your pause, you allowing yourself to be chaotic as well. Feminine energy is an allowing of the chaos, but all with ease and grace and like that emotional release and being able to cry. And then it goes more from this and this to this. So it becomes like a flow. And the tools that I received to be able to do that, I went from being anxious, because it's really, I found the anxiety and over focusing, absolutely. What I found was that was about worrying how I'd be received by others, that I hadn't done enough, that I had to sit up at night and think about how I was going to justify all the things I did and didn't do.
What were the tools? Because I'm sitting here listening, I'm just going, that is me.
Okay.
And I do dip in and out of it. Like I'll literally, there's some days where I'm top of the world. I feel great. everything's amazing, but then I push, and I'm awake until 2:00 at night, 3:00 in the morning, and then I'm up at 6, and I'm just, okay, let's go. And I feel like
Why?
a lot of those donkey things that you press at the bottom and it like collapses, and then you let go, it brings back up. Yeah. What are the tools?
Okay, so the first one is having a daily practice, like a daily, like, feminine spiritual practice. So I go out every morning. I make what's called a cacao. I went to a retreat, and this amazing retreat with Sally Love, shamanic retreat. She taught me about what cacao was, and I've got my cat making a lot of noise. Can you hear that?
Yeah, that's all right. It's just a I've got my son being weird off camera.
It's an envelope she's attacking. Okay. But yeah, so I have that practice. I have my cacao and actually have gratitude. I thank the universe for everything that I feel gratitude for. I connect in with energies that I feel are really important to me. So sometimes it's animals. So I got taught in the shamanic retreat around the energy of animals and what they sort of represent and they symbolize. And I thank myself and have gratitude for myself.
That'll fix it.
Yes.
That was gold.
Hey, God, stop it. Yes. So that's one of them. But also I'm a big advocate of doing all of it. Like going and doing courses that there are really good low-cost ones. You don't have to get ridiculous. There's some really ridiculously high-cost ones too. Yeah. And if you want to reach out to me, and I'll tell you what they are. I don't like to advocate certain things unless I really know what it is you need. Yeah. So reach out to me, private message me, and I'm happy to have a conversation. I do this all the time with people, and I've got a smorgasbord of PR, personal development.
PD.
PD, not PR. That's what you do.
Well, sort of, but yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there are plenty of tools, but basically you've got to slow down. Like you have to have, as much as you don't want to, you have to have someone in your life to force you, Hayley, to turn off your phone like for 2 hours a week.
Yeah. Turn it off. I'm like, stop it.
Not respond to something and just go out with yourself and just be with yourself in nature.
Because that's what happens. I wake up in the morning, like grab the phone. But the thing is, it's not that I don't want to. I do want to. I love slowing down. There's nothing more. I love like laying in a bath and chilling out. Love it.
Yeah.
Go to the beach. Literally just go for a walk and just be with myself. I do struggle being with myself. This has turned into a fucking therapy session for Hayley.
This is not therapy. This is what friends do. That's another thing I want to debunk.
This is a conversation.
Yeah. How many times have I called you, Hayley? Freaking out.
Yeah, all the time.
Exactly. And you give me the advice, and that in those moments, you're actually that friend.
Yeah. Thank
you. Know? So it's not. We all go through it. I think just to answer Joe's question, though, is that someone that's high energy, you're responsible for that slowing down. And for people that don't have that, are not like that, they have to create practices to speed up. It's just a balance.
Yeah. I don't have any problem speeding up at all. I really just need to be able to turn the dial down, not turn it up. Right. So we've got 15 minutes, but I reckon we should recenter it back to philosophy.
I've got a meeting at 6 o'clock, but that's okay. Can we do 5?
Yeah. It's fine by me. It doesn't matter.
It's a personal development seminar I'm going to tonight.
We just tricked everybody. It had nothing to do with philanthropy. We just wanted to promote the personal development.
That's right.
Tonight. No, but let's circle back to saying and how hard it is for people to say no. And I know that even in the weird way, I think half the stuff that we've been talking about tonight has actually centered around that anyway. And people's willingness to kind of like be open to conversations and have the confidence to say no, simply, but with intention.
Hmm.
And I suppose the hardest thing, Jess, is people's reaction. And again, from this conversation, you've not got to give a shit about what other people say.
Well,
Not in
you
an
can.
arrogant way, but
Oh, yeah, I know what you mean. It's like the subtle art of not giving a fuck. Um, it's two-headed. It's not allowing yourself to feel that person, but not making it personal at all. And it's such a generous, kind act to let someone have a reaction and not take it personally. It's like the most generous thing you can do for someone, and then walk away from it like it's nothing for me to do here.
yeah. No, I like that.
Hmm.
Spot on. Someone else's Facebook user saying, I'm getting so much better at saying no now. Good. As a
Good.
result of this, or just in general. So no, it's good. It's a good thing. All right, darling, I'm going to let you, because you are so incredible, and I just love listening to you, Jess. I really do. I think and I love actually watching your journey. And you said before that you have been on the phone to me freaking out, but you also show up all the time. You just show up as yourself, and I really admire that about you, regardless. And you're not afraid to put yourself out there. And I just really love and respect that about you. And I want to say thank you for coming on today. And everybody, we're going to try and do this regularly with
Yes.
focused intention.
Yes.
With some sort of a topic, and then just have conversations, because I think that the more that the world hears you speak in particular, I think the world will be a better place from just listening to you, babe. I think you're incredible.
Oh, thank you. I just want to add, though, I really appreciate the acknowledgement, but I just want to add that you create a space for me to be able to come to you as well. There's not many people that I can come to. So because you're your human self, you have a different expression to me for sure, but we all have a different one.
Yeah.
So you're no different.
I appreciate that. No, thank you. All right, guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Next time we come on, I'm going to make sure that we've got a bit of a co-brand thing happening, because you are that ever-evolving entrepreneur, and you're always kind of doing new things and adding more and more value to the people that you show up for. So Human Business Collective is something that is an ever-evolving machine of awesome, and you do all things for people that are like us, that really kind of want to have mentorship. What is it like? I mean, how would you explain it, darling, very quickly?
How I would explain it is it's like a machine that takes people that are interested in humanity and want to make a difference to people, and want to use business as a vehicle to make a difference to people and humanity. So I'm a business expert, and I teach people how to do that. And I know that it's not just about learning the tools in business. It's about creating a machine of people in business getting together. So Human Business Collective is that machine. So it's like you get in there, you've got like-minded individuals, they care about people, and they want to make a business out of it too.
Good human beings. And that's the same with us. I think that's probably why we vibe and kind of connect, because we're the same. We basically have spent many years using our magic to help people look amazing and show up in the world and get the attention that they deserve. But the difference that we do is that we help people that do good look good. So it's the same vibe. So, like if you're doing good things, you're an epic human, then we want to work with you. Thank you so much for coming today, Jess. I'm going to, like I say, we're going to make some regular stuff happen, and we'll see you next time.
Totally. Can I just do a big shout out? I need to do a plug for my event on the 29th of March.
Yeah.
29th of March in Brisbane. If you are in Brisbane, it's Human Business 4.0. So it's the fourth event. They're going great. They're growing. So if you want to come along and learn how to create humanity-led or humanity-driven business, human connection plus automated tech, come along. And Yes, I want you guys to come.
100% be there. I'm not going to miss it. I missed the others, so I wouldn't miss. It's just because we've had, this, all the
I
excuses.
know.
It's
I get it. I love you guys there. There's some really cool showcases, and it's a networking event that's not about bringing in speakers. It's about the community itself. It's exposing and showcasing the businesses that exist. So everyone is equal, and everyone gets an opportunity to showcase if they are a part of the community.
It's a true community. I love it. And just very quickly, before, if anybody's watching, follow Jess, Jess Clair, and all the handles and the stuff and the things, but we'll put them in the comments. And of course, follow all of our other socials too, and Obsessed Hub and all the bits and the pieces. So look at us. Let's get it for all it's worth.
Exactly.
I love you.
Love you too. Thank you, Hayley. Thanks, guys. All right. See you later.